Welcome back to the Frog Bath. A very special episode today. We're going to be talking about building an intake bay. I get a lot of questions about this, and my neighbor is putting in an awesome garden pond right now, and we have an occasion to see a pond that is just freshly dug out and use one of my favorite wacky pond building tools, the water level. And before you think that this is going to be a sponsored drop or you're going to have to go out and buy an expensive tool, you are not going to have to be going on Amazon and spending a couple $100 on a purpose-built water level. Instead, I will tell you how to make one of these tools yourself for just a couple of bucks and show you how to use one. So let's get to it. Oh, and this frog is chatting at me too. So we'll get to that. Yes, you were saying? Nothing to say now. But look, my water lily opened up. Gotta love that. Okay, let's go over to my neighbor's pond.
She's done an awesome job digging this out, and she's left the berm really high, which is what you want to do when you first dig stuff out before you fill it with water, because you can always take dirt away and you can't really put it back, especially if you have kind of sandy, rocky soil. It's really hard to put it back. So how do you know how deep to cut it and where your water is going to be before you put your liner in?
Do you want to tell them how to make a water level, or are you too busy? Here you go. Water level. It's, I don't know, 20 feet, more or less. How big's your pond, you know? It's 3/8 inch vinyl tubing. And you put one end into your pond, or hose or bucket, and you suck some water into it.
Now, water's self-leveling. So you can see here, wherever I move this, these two sides of the hose are always going to be level with one another. Okay, so there's the water line on the back of the intake bay. And that is pretty much as high as you would ever want the water to be in this bay. Well, how should I cut the intake side? Let's take a look where the water level is going to be. So if I look over here, I can see on my tool, the water is going to be right about there. See where the water kind of stops filling it. And so that means that if I want this into intake, I really should cut down pretty low, like maybe down even to there, about 6 inches lower, to make sure I have enough flow in my intake bay, because my water line is right here. The other place this tool really comes in handy is checking the water level in your bog. So this is where the return is going to be, and it's going to need to be cut out. So we're going to have a little waterfall kind of scene. So if this is filled up right to underneath the bog on this side where the return is, so this would allow the return to function, where does that mean our water level is going to be? All the way over here on the high side of the bog. So that's not good. Our water level is way low on this side, and this is the high side of the bog. So if we want our bog to fill in evenly, that means we need to add fill over here where the return is. Right now, if I adjusted this water level, we can see if the back tall side of the bog has its water line right about here. So you can imagine there being, a border of rocks here, and the bog would be filled up to this point. Where does that put the water level on this side? Okay, so that's a problem. That's significantly above grade. And so we need to fill this side in so that our bog can be full evenly. Okay, so let's check back in. Get the water level set on this side, right where we want it. And what does that mean for the other side? Now that she has built it up, yeah. Look at that. The water level comes up here, plenty of space for the liner, plenty of place for the overflow to functions. Okay, so we checked the water level by our return, and you see, like, this is where the waterfall river is going to come in. So your water in your pond can't be any higher than that. And it fell. You can't get the water level, up any higher than this in your pond. So then you check across at the intake bay and you find, uh-oh, that's not going to flow into the intake bay. So yeah, cut that down enough to have space for the water to get through. So okay, you can see here, if that's the water level in the pond, and that's enough for this intake to function, this little cut for the intake, Where does that mean the water is on the back of the intake bay? Well below the grade, which is cool because that means your intake bay is not going to overflow out the back, which is bad.
This tool is pretty weird and one of the best ways that I know to level things across large, uneven areas. The ones that you buy have high visibility liquid, more like windshield washer fluid. You know, you could also put food coloring in your water if you want to. I just use regular water and use my eyes. It's not a big deal. Now, this is not a super exact science. It's a pretty fiddly tool to use. However, it'll give you a lot of insights that you can save time before you do your test fill.
Well, that's it. Go on, get the hardware store. Get your tube. Get your shovel. Start digging. And leveling.